Have you thought about switching to OnCue and you really don't have the time to make the switch? This lawyer switched during the lunch break in the middle of a trial. That's next on the QCast. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 3 of the QCast. My name is Rob Helt. I am so glad that you're here. Episodes 1 and 2 have had great feedback, and we thank you so much for this. Listen, if you want to give us feedback or you have a question for the show, email us qcast@onqtech.com. qcast@onqtech.com. Leave us a comment over on our LinkedIn. You can find us there. Also, subscribe and like our YouTube. That helps. That really does help. It helps the algorithms and it helps people to find this QCast that is out here to help you. This is a little bit different today. We're going to go in and we're going to talk with Josh Carden. We had a conversation with him. He's a lawyer in Mesa, Arizona. And we had a conversation with him about using OnCue during a trial. He was told, hey man, you got to switch to something else. And on the lunch break, he did it. Listen, I can't do it justice. Here's the interview. We're joined today and have the pleasure of being joined today on the QCast by Josh Carden. Josh is a partner at Carden Livesay in Mesa, Arizona. And we got an email from you, Josh. First of all, let me say welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely. We got an email from you where you were telling us about having to make the switch to OnCue in the middle of a trial. I've been on that side before. Tell me a little bit about what happened.
Sure. I've explored trial presentation software before. I'm a solo, essentially. My partner is semi-retired. And usually it's been okay to get up there with Windows Explorer and Adobe Acrobat and just kind of make it work. All right. I represent a lot of employees that can't afford to pay for what a year subscription would cost to some of the other competitive software out there. And so I just haven't done it. And I was sitting second chair at a trial about 3 years ago now. And the judge in federal court, I won't say his name, was basically saying, guys, I don't want to see all the tabs from Adobe. And it's just awkward to have all that cluttery menu stuff around the edge of the screen. Do something different. Now, I don't think he was trying to jam us up or anything like that. He's looking out for the jury, and that's part of his job in the trial. But, first day of trial, my job is to do those exhibits. I'm panicking. And, we're representing a guy who couldn't afford to pay us by the hour if he'd wanted to. So while my lead counsel is going over the exhibits and planning for the afternoon, I'm frantically Googling in the courthouse trial presentation software. And of course, I find one of the major competitors and I look at the price and my heart sinks. And then somehow the Google God smiled and I landed on OnCue. And not only A, did it seem like I could figure it out, but B, it allowed for us to just buy it for the month. And the price point was amazing. And so I told my partner, the lead counsel for this particular case, he's at another firm, but I told him that and he said, yeah, fine, whatever, get it. And literally by the time the lunch break had ended, I had subscribed for a month, downloaded the software, put in all 130 of our exhibits, figured out the hotkeys. I got a little, photo of the little printout that you can do the hotkeys. And by that afternoon, I was doing call out boxes and highlighting with the exhibits. And my, lead counsel was just thrilled. He had no idea, what I had done. And I hadn't done much except look up software and I found OnCue and I'm never going back to anywhere else.
You've never used any other trial presentation software, right? So you were just doing everything in Adobe.
Correct. And I've done several trials over my career and I was doing them before they had all the fancy evidence presentation stuff in the courtroom. I was used to the Elmo and putting the paper down on the little overhead projector and scrolling and pointing and, I was used to that. And then the federal courthouse in Arizona switched to the ability to hook up your laptop. And the first, I want to say, 2 jury trials I did, I used Adobe and Windows Explorer and extended screen. So I would, open it on my laptop screen and then drag it over. But I was, I've been a solo for several years now, and I'm used to just having to do all that by myself. And I've never had a judge say, "Yeah, I don't like that. Do something different." And so, to be put on the spot like that was terrifying, and at the same time, it was exhilarating because I found in OnQ a solution, and I will never do another trial without OnQ on my computer. I just did one in December and used OnQ, and just me by myself. I don't have a paralegal that comes to trial with me or a trial tech or anything like that. I'm just me, myself, and I can make it work. And OnQ has been, a lifesaver in that respect.
What was one of the most attractive things for you about OnQ? Like, what really attracted you to what it does, or when you look at it from a standpoint of, I have to do something, and there are, of course, you have options. There's not just OnQ. What was one of the main attractive things for you, Josh?
I'd have to say it was the ease of getting started. I mean, that was how I found it, right? It was the ease of getting started and the functionality once I got it there. It's hard for me to narrow it to one thing, and then a close third to those two things is the ability to only pay for it in the months where I need it. That was a huge thing as well, because like I said, I'm a solo. I don't have big, corporate clients funding my Class A office space or anything like that. I've got to be cost conscious, and finding OnQ again was just an absolute lifesaver. I've seen other softwares being used, and they usually require a full-time person sitting there in the corner of the room operating it. Or I've seen it be run from an app on a tablet, which is not how my practice is set up. I use my, Windows-based laptop everywhere I go, and I'm sure OnQ is compatible, with across platforms, or maybe it requires Windows. I don't know. I don't care. I use Windows, but it has been the lack of a need to get other equipment involved and the lack of a need to get another person involved that has kept me coming back.
Well, and a final question for you, and this one is pretty subjective, but what would you tell somebody who, they're looking to purchase something, they're looking to do something, they're looking to elevate their litigation game? You've got somebody they're just a little bit scared to dip their toe in that water. They're just, there's a little bit of fear there, as I would have with anything. I don't know what I don't know, and so It's a little bit scary. But coming from lawyers, you guys speak in your own, a lawyer trusts a lawyer. What would you tell lawyers that are just kind of thinking about dipping their toe in, or thinking about, just testing those waters for a little bit?
Why would you pass up on the opportunity to elevate your evidence presentation without having to spend big bucks or hire another person to do it? Most lawyers I know can use PowerPoint, and they'll craft these elaborate presentations that they'll try to use either in arguments, openings or closings, and something invariably goes wrong where they get out of order. It's painful to watch. With OnQ, I can call up any exhibit I want on the fly, and it looks like I'm using the same stuff that the 6 o'clock news is using. When I can grab a chunk of the document and have it zoom out like a call out, when I can highlight on the fly, when I can save those things that I've just done and come back to them later if I want to. There is literally no other software that I would recommend to another lawyer who's in court doing evidence.
Well, I'll tell you, I want to thank you so much for coming on. We got your email, and I was just blown away by the fact that you had to switch dead in the middle of trial, but you did it. And it seems to me that you did it with a little bit of ease and less trepidation than what you would have. And it's always good to hear that. So, Josh, thank you very much for coming on the show. We appreciate it. Man, as you can see there, that is a huge endorsement for us. It's a huge endorsement for the software as a whole, and a huge endorsement for you guys as trial technology consultants, that you're dipping your toe in the water, but you haven't quite just jumped in yet with OnCue, that tells you right there. It can be done. It absolutely can be done. Lawyer, paralegal, trial tech, doesn't matter. Hey, we thank you so much for listening to the QCast. Once again, my name is Rob Helt. We'll see you next week.